Komarin has made its return to the map pool after spending a long time on the drawing board. The map was previously designed to be a campfest beyond imagination, and that's what it became. Here's where people would usually sit and do nothing but wait. As you can see here, both bridges would be occupied by TDs. The team with most TDs and most patient would usually win, so it was a complete waste of 15 minutes most of the time, and I'm super happy to see that this map has gotten a rebalance once again. Both cap zones were placed right in front of the bridges, giving the TDs the perfect opportunity to just sit there and wait for the enemy team to finally go, let's go and cap. The map has gotten a huge graphic update. As you can see here, it's super pretty now. It's actually a very pretty map. And the cap zone have been moved to the spawn area, making a lot more sense instead of people just trying to rush to the cap, which sometimes was the case. People would rush to the cap and then win within the first minute. And you would actually be happy with that result because you just didn't want to play this map. Here are the most spots which you should avoid. It's like there are so few options on this map. There are very, very few options. So you either go east, west, or middle. Any spots on this map which are open are to be avoided at all costs. You should move to the buildings either on the east or the west, depending on where you are, north or south. Also, don't ever go and camp in the damn forests down southeast or northwest. Don't ever do that. You're a waste of tanks sitting there doing nothing for half the battle. Who wants to be useless for half the battle? Your teammates have already died, and therefore you have finally some people to shoot at because the enemy has pushed through your allies. From the south, pushing east, it's a very good idea to just keep on pushing. Don't stop at these first couple of buildings because you won't be able to spot the enemy. But as you can see here, there are plenty of buildings with lots of bushes where you can peek out from, right here and here and here, for instance. You can also move further up and get some more advantage by going to these buildings instead. And if you go to this building on the left, you'll even have a great spot where you can go over the ridge here and spot enemies coming from the north, going towards the bridge. And you can also push to this location. You'll need very fast tanks to beat the tanks that are coming from the north if they have fast tanks. So if you want to get here, you've got to be really fast. But it's also a very great position to be in. You have a great advantage, a pushing advantage. Coming from the north and also going, well, right but west on the minimap, you will also just push past these buildings. They are buildings which you can fall back to later, but for now, in the beginning, you have to push to these locations. If the enemy is fast, you will spot them from here. Same kind of bushes, locations beside the buildings as the other side, and you can push forward to these buildings as well and get a better advantage. And if you push to this building in particular, you will have a very good position. You can use your gun depression to peek over the edges here, or the ridges, and you will also have a very good spot where you can peek from. You can also spot the enemies going across the bridge from here and shoot them on the island in the middle. Even though I never do this myself, I still want to point out that you can easily push on the west from the south. I don't go here because I like going to the right a lot more. I like to be able to peek over the edges as I showed you. And the positions that you can push to are much better from the south on the right and from the north on the west. But as we can see here, there is a rock sitting right here which you can sit by. Some people like to sit there, I don't. It leaves you quite vulnerable. So move across the bridge and get to the buildings up here, as they give you much better cover both from arty and from enemies, and you'll have a lot better options to take advantage of. You can decide to push from directly to the west or to the hills on the right, or to the buildings right in front of these buildings. Much better than sitting back and camping by the bridge. Not much else to say from that side, as you'll just be pushing and fighting against enemy tanks as they show up, and hopefully you don't have to deal with too many people just hiding in the forest areas, even though there will be people there, so just be prepared for that. People will camp in the forests. They don't know how to play this map, most of them. But as the south side, you just push along here and get across the bridge. There's no rocks on this bridge, so you just have to push further across the bridge to get to the first cover. That is the church area with a few buildings, and you can also push up to the building up there, up in the top, as there is a very good hull down position there with an open window. A quick piece of information for the bridges. You can easily cross here if the bridge is full of slow tanks, so don't feel scared about crossing this path. You can also take the YOLO path and cross through the water here. You really have to have a good engine tank, quite fast too. Scout tanks and such can go through here quite fast, as well as the Hellcat on 72 kilometers an hour, and gain a very good either spotting position or attacking position very early. This can also be done from the north, but this one is a lot tougher, as there is a drop right there, as you saw. It was a miracle that my Hellcat didn't get tracked there, and you'll nearly drown. Like, that was 3 seconds left, and I had 6 to 5 seconds left to get out of the water on the other side. So be very careful about this position. Also, it doesn't work the other way because the drop is just too big, as you can see here. 7, 6, 5. Nope, Hellcat can't make it up there. It is just too steep. And now there's only the middle left to talk about. A place I rarely go because you are quite stuck in here. And if you really want to go here in something heavy, a very armored tank of sorts. You can go here, but as you can see, there's a small hill in the middle. Don't ever peek around that. Don't go too far. Don't go too far on the east either, on the right here, because people can shoot you from these directions. So be very careful when you decide to peek. From the north, it's basically the same. You go into the middle and you get to the nearest cover, and then just be very careful about where you peek. And when you peek, you can wait for the east or west to push through, if they decide to do that and not just camp. And then you can support from the middle at some great angles. But here are the directions you need to be careful about getting shot from. Basically the same as for the south, just be careful when you peek and you should be fine. And now to end it off with a few scouting positions. Most people, when they start up the game, will have to go through scouts, and they don't understand why they suddenly face tanks they can't damage. But here's a good spot. There's a bush right here. You can also move to the bushes in front and spot the enemies going across the bridge. Now from the north, this is a really good position. If you're fast enough, you can push all the way here with a fast scout tank, and you can push past these bushes and all the way up to this little fishing hut or whatever that is. And here's a good bunch of bushes, and if you sit in any of the ones at the edge, you will be able to spot most of the enemies coming in there. And that's basically how you play Komarin or Komarin. There are no special paths for each tank class, because there are only 3 paths, and one of them is never go to the forest. Never go to the forest. Don't ever be unable to help your teammates. See you guys next Tuesday.